Hey goalies! In this video, we're going to continue on with our beer league coaching series, but instead of watching me fumble around doing drills, I actually had a semi-private lesson about a month ago with a goalie named Paul. So Paul is a bit of a newer goalie. So what I'm going to do in this video instead is we're actually going to watch footage of him doing the drills, and then we're going to do a little bit of constructive criticism and hopefully give him a few pointers. That way he can continue to work on his game and improve his skill set. You'll notice I've got all my gear on, so everything that I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to try to demo it myself as well. But anyways, enough of me talking, let's go check out the footage. So Paul's a 35-year-old goalie who started playing around 2 years ago with zero goaltending experience and also no skating experience. So props to you, Paul, for picking the most difficult position in sports. So Paul decided to start working with the coach because he mentioned after his first few games as a goalie, he pretty much tore his hamstring, which made him decide to get a coach and learn the position properly. So I think it's super awesome, Paul, that you didn't get discouraged by your injury and also managed to get a coach to get some coaching done. Anyways, let's get warmed up in our first drill. So as always, we start off the session by warming up our gloves. So I really love this drill. It definitely gets the eyes moving and just used to tracking pucks. Super useful, especially if you haven't seen much action during the week. One of the things that you want to remember when using your hands is not just to keep them in front, but to also get visual attachment with the puck and track it in with your head either into your glove or blocker side. We really want to see that head turn into the puck as it comes in. Basically, as you make the save with your glove, you also want to have a nice lean into the puck and bring your upper body over like a full unit. This is going to make for recoveries a lot easier later on. One little small critique that I have for Paul here is, I'm not sure if it's just the camera angle, but Paul is sitting a little bit back in his butterfly, so I always preach just sitting a little bit higher up, that way you can free your hips for movement. I feel like you're sitting back a little bit too far, and once you kind of get up off your butt, you'll be able to lean the pucks a little bit easier. So what I'm doing here is I'm just reaching for the puck. I'm only using my arms to either catch or use the blocker to smack the puck away. This is something that you want to try to avoid when possible, depending on the situation, of course. So instead, you want to lean into the puck, like I'm doing here, and just track it with your head all the way as it goes into your glove or hits your blocker. It's pretty easy to practice this. Just visualize a puck going into your glove or blocker, but also take your time tracking it all the way into your glove or off your blocker and into that corner. That way you can build that visual attachment to the puck the entire way. Doing this is going to set ourselves up for a nice recovery afterward. You'll see that if you sit a little bit too far back in your butterfly, it's hard to get that lean in there because you're not as mobile when you're sitting back too far. Get your hips a little bit higher to allow for more mobility. So our first shooting drill is a stick save, a recovery back to the middle for a nice floater to the gut. I remember when I was first told to use the stick to save the puck, it actually felt really foreign to me since this is not something that I usually practice during beer league warm-ups. Most shots are like towards the head. But now that I've actually practiced this, I've actually noticed I started using it more naturally during games. So much like the previous drill, like using our gloves, we also want to do the same with our stick saves. So having that good visual attachment, and instead of poking or swiping at the puck, we're going to turn our entire torso to redirect the puck into the corner. Again, we're always using our upper body as a full unit, so we want to bring everything over together and essentially deflect the puck. We don't really need to force it into the corner because we're rather using the puck's velocity, momentum to guide it where we want. So what I'm doing here is I'm just showing myself swiping at the puck and reaching with the stick. Again, this is something that you want to try to avoid doing as you don't get much strength behind your stick, and there's always a chance that your stick might tilt upwards on its heel while you're swiping, and you're going to definitely lose a lot of coverage if that happens. So it's pretty easy to practice this. Visualize the puck coming at you and track it with your head, and just get used to bringing your entire body and torso over the puck to redirect that into the corner, treating the upper body as a full unit. You can always have a slight tilt to your stick as well, just to ramp that puck up into the glass and into the corner. So our second drill is pretty similar to the first, except this time it's going to be a shot to the gloves at the top of the crease instead of the gut. So one of the things that Paul is doing here, he's making the saves, but he's really struggling to get that recovery going. One of my earlier videos I mentioned, I struggled a lot recovering with the correct leg. I have no problem getting up to the right leg moving left. My brain just doesn't ever want to use the left leg to get up when I need to recover to the right side. So everyone has their weaker side. So when it comes to these things, you just want to kind of slow things down and think it through, and even talk to yourself step by step as you go through these. So we already talked about moving the whole upper torso as a unit. This is where we're going to start putting the pieces together and getting our recovery going. So once you get that good visual attachment with the puck and get comfortable moving your arms and torso over to where the puck is going, you can move your hips and plant the proper recovery leg. You can practice this by using the visualization drills from earlier, except this time when it goes into the corner, plant your backside leg up. And just repeat this X number of times per side. If you don't have a shooter to work with, it's very, very important to visualize a puck coming in and the rebound going off to the side, because you want this to become muscle memory during a game. Once you get comfortable with planting the proper leg, try just getting up. You might find that you'll have difficulty getting up with one leg. This could be due to just strength, but if you have problems, take it really slow, engage your core, and just feel how your body weight needs to shift to get into a good recovery. So this drill is a bit of a tough one. It has that really long T-push, which can be quite tricky. When I talked to Paul that night, he did mention that T-pushes is one of those things that he needs to work on. So for me personally, T-pushes are definitely one of the harder movements to get right. I'll give a few tips about them, but be warned, they're not going to be the best since I'm still learning myself. One of the things that I have learned recently and have been caught and found doing is that I'm not having enough of a deep knee bend on the lead leg, and just not having my shoulders over that leg. So what I would suggest for Paul is to just work in isolation on those T-pushes when you have some available ice. And the easiest thing to start off would just to be doing T-pushes across the straight line. When I first tried learning these on my own, I would literally just open up my hip, push, and just glide on one leg. What I found is when I did this, I couldn't even balance on that lead leg. It felt really, really uncomfortable doing it. So what I would do is just push and glide and just leave my trailing leg on the ice for now. This is something that I had to do because I think I just didn't have the strength or balance to really glide on that lead leg. So dragging that leg behind me helped me out to start, kind of like a training wheel. Of course, eventually you want to learn to snap that leg back into your stance, but I kind of just use it as a crutch to start off. As you do this, you also want to get your arms and shoulders over that lead leg as you glide. This is something that you can probably just get started with in terms of doing T-pushes to build up strength and just being comfortable in that position as you're gliding. And once you're a little bit more comfortable doing that, you can kind of just put it all together where we make our save, create that visual attachment to the puck, get into our recovery, and then into a T-push. Now that I'm actually watching myself do this, recovery definitely needs a lot of work. Basically, this is how I would learn some of these new techniques, is to kind of break it down step by step and just practice them in isolation. A lot of the things that we're doing during the drills actually is a combination of several small moves, which can be a little bit complicated and overwhelming for a newer goalie. I think one of the things that happens when we do these types of drills is our ego kind of gets in the way and we try to be as fast as possible. When I first started doing the drills, I kind of felt like it was in a game pace where I had to kind of like rush. But then when I rushed, my form and my brain kind of just exploded. Even during the coaching sessions, take your time, talk to yourself in your head step by step. There was no rush doing these drills. It's a place for us to learn. That's something that I had to learn when I went to these coaching sessions, was to actually just slow everything down and take it step by step. So overall, it's a pretty fun session. Having two goalies really gives you a nice break in between the flurry of shots. That way you're more fresh when it's your turn. As always, thanks to Iris from Provision Goaltending for having us for the evening, and huge thanks to Paul for letting us go over your footage. And if you're wondering, Paul completely destroyed me in the C-cuts. Oh man, those C-cuts, the bane of my existence. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.